Welcome to the Essence of True Self podcast, where we affirm I am the son of my creation. Here I focus on mindfulness, limiting belief, self-care, spirituality, and overall becoming your true self. I'm your host, Oriana, a book, tea, and self-development lover. I give you tips and tricks of what I learned on my self-development journey so you can apply to yours. If you're interested, keep listening. Hey, welcome back to the Essence of True Self podcast. I'm your host, Oriana, and I hope your week, your day, your evening is going pretty well because mine is going okay. And I'm thankful and grateful you guys decided to come back and listen to me for my podcast. And if you cannot tell, I have visual now. And I know this is not my official setup, but this is just the beginning of what this journey might takes me for my visual podcast now. If for the podcast listeners, you can check out my podcast on YouTube now. So feel free. I'm actually excited and a little bit nervous. But before we get into anything on my podcast, as you heard in the intro, I'm love talking about self-development books, learning new things about yourself, self-development, and overall becoming your true self and meeting your goals and loving yourself even more through every phase in your life. So really, every time I do my podcast, we do breathing and we say our affirmations of the podcast. You can also check out my previous episodes if you haven't already on Spotify or anywhere where you like to listen to your podcast. But let's get into the breathing and saying our affirmations. Okay. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now we get into the affirmation. I am the son of my creation. I am the son of my creation. I am the son of my creation. I hope that helped you because it always helped me. I hope it helps you be more present in this moment during this episode. And yeah, every time I do an episode, I always give a life update. And then after that, we dive deep into the topic we're going to talk about, as you can tell by the title. And today, we're pretty much going to be talking about how fear can be a way to elevate your life in a different way. But we're not going to get into that yet. But my life update. How have my life been? If you haven't checked out the last episode, I did say I was moving and I was under a lot of stress. And I feel like I was putting myself under unnecessary stress for no reason. And I don't know. I just be so hard on myself and expecting things to be a certain way. Especially when you're pursuing something besides living in the society norms way. I just feel like that's how I've been feeling lately, and then fear started to creep up and making necessary steps that I know I want to do to elevate my life, my dream life. And even though I'm giving like great advice during these episodes, I just want to say like I also go through things too, and not everybody behind the screen is perfect. And I feel like I talked about that in the last episode too, but I just feel like I need everything to be perfect and nothing has to be perfect. And working through my fears can help me elevate to another version of myself or my dream life that I always wanted for myself. And I just never really took the time to actually sit with myself to ask myself, why do I feel like my life should be a certain way? And I did that, and I feel like a lot of times I just need to just be easy and show myself grace, even though I'm actually finally going towards stuff that I want to do for my life. And yeah, I feel like I just been holding it in for so long just to feel like I got this. I always portray that I am this girl who got this all the time, but not all the time, boo. We all go through these moments in our life that we think we just have to slow down and just not think, we know we have to slow down and just be with the universe and just be present and be grateful for how far we came. Especially today is the Cancer moon, so it's really just making me dive more deeper into how I feel about certain things in my life and confronting my fears and going towards my actual dream life. And I feel like a lot of times our fears come up when we know we're about to elevate our life in a certain way that we didn't expect it to be. But yeah, that's pretty much my update. We all moved in. This pretty much my new room. I will give you a whole little room tour, like on my Instagram, on my personal Instagram, once I finish how I want my dream room to look like. Cause Pinterest have been coming in handy when it comes to this type of stuff. So yeah, as you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So yeah, and yeah, I just really been feeling it lately. And this other girl on Instagram, she was talking about fear can be a sign to actually move forward and see things differently. And that's what made me come up with this episode, because fear like to come up because I have this fear of being not secure and stable in my life if it doesn't have to pertain with money. As an accountant, that is very important to me, and I just feel like I haven't really just gave myself that time to be like, why do I put so much power on money when money is just a vibration, just a piece of paper? And that's what society have trained us to be so drawn to this money that we need our life to be a certain way because we don't have this amount of money. And really, we just have to put ourselves on a pedestal and let money flow to us easily instead of feeling like we can't be stable or secure without money. And that's really what I've been going through. And I've been fear for all the stuff that I've been going through right at this moment, moving, cost of living right now, and still trying to push through in this time. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been trying to tell myself. Like, money is just a piece of paper and it's energy. You got to put yourself on the pedestal so money can vibrate at the same frequency as money. Because people give so much power to money. So, why not be the power of yourself to make the money come to you? I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, just be in the same vibration and money will flow. Or be even in a higher vibration and money will just effortlessly flow to you. And I'm working on that as we speak and not putting so much pressure on myself to be a certain way when everything's already working out in my favor. Another thing, I always need to think that everything is always working in my favor, because I was going through this phase not too long ago, like a couple of days ago, that I feel like things were happening to me, but I had to remind myself things are happening for me, not to me. In every phase of my life, in every conflict or trauma or a good thing happen in my life is for a reason, for me to see that something to learn from, an opportunity to learn from, and not what my life had brought to me in a way. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah, that's really what I've been doing, and just retraining my mind to be more clear of what I want in my life. So let's get into this episode. So this episode, as you see by the titles, it says fear is a sign of moving forward, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And I feel like I was getting a message throughout this week, especially when we go into this 6 months era of the year. I can't believe it's already July. It's like crazy, and you feeling this fear of things is changing around you, because it is happening. And don't be afraid of fear. Embrace the change in your life. So every episode I always give like a definition of what fear is, like definition of what the topic is of this episode. So fear is the topic, so we're gonna get into that. So fear is an emotional response to perceived threat or danger. It activates the body to fight or flight response, prepping us to either confront or escape from the threat. Fear is a natural instinct reaction that helps us protect ourselves, but also can be subjective and vary from person to person. And fear is just like a perfect sign for us to keep moving, especially when we don't know what's going to happen next, and we always want to know what's happening next. And it's okay. this phase of my life, I am getting out the fight or flight mode in my life. It's no going back to what have happened to me or what could have happened to me. Like, no, I'm moving towards the positive, and I'm going to continue to go towards the positive in my life. And that's okay. Even if the people around you don't understand what you're doing, it's none of their business. You know what you're doing, though. And I want you to ingrain that in yourself, that you know what you're doing. Nobody else really matters in this situation but you. And I'm not trying to sound that in a selfish way. If you know in my previous episode, you know how I feel about the word selfish. But you know what your life should be. You know it. You just afraid to go forward. And we always been in this system to, oh, go to school, get a degree. Your life will be better if you do that. You'll be stable. You'll be, no. And I just want to break the habit of just constant thinking that way, because that's how I was raised. That's how most of us was raised, by the system to tell us that we need to have our life a certain way. But really, we can create the life we want and still make the money we desire. We just have to believe it and know it. Instead of ingraining ourselves, if we go towards creativity, we won't survive. And then I just feel like that's most of our situations when we trying to change our life in the way that we want to be. And I also said fear can hold us back from reaching our goals. I've been feeling this feeling when it's time to grow to another level in my life all the time. And this is also can be when you feel stagnant in your life because you're afraid to move forward in your life, because we don't know what's happening next. That is the whole point of life, is to trust and have faith in the unknown. And I just feel like that's really what life is about, is trusting and have faith in the unknown, that we will make it to where we need to be. We don't need to know how. We don't need to know when. We just need to know that it's happening for us, not to us. And trust that everything is working out for you. And when you start working with your fear and not against it, you heard what I said. When we start working our fear and not against it, that's when things will elevate in your life that you never thought would actually happen. Like me actually starting this podcast, and I still am amazed that I actually even did this. And it's just like me over here doing a podcast, and me afraid that people won't relate to me, but people do relate in their own way. And there's a billion people on this earth. I don't know why I just play small, and I feel like that's a coping mechanism of mine, but playing small is not going to get me anywhere in life. And same for you if you continue to play small. Because you have that power to change your life. You have it. Trust it. And wave that power in your life. Trust that everything's working out for you. We need to start working with our fears and not against it. But that's the main reason we still in the same place, because we don't want to move forward. And when you're in a stagnant position, you have two choices: to move forward or go backwards, or just stay the same. Going backwards and staying the same, I put that in the same category, because you decide, you letting fear conquer you, and you're not conquering fear. Fear can only show you what you need to. Actually, I want to reword that. Fear is an opportunity to move forward, to see that you have that power to do so. And a lot of times we get this like, oh my God, I want to relate to the people that was with me. Okay, that's fine. Because the universe going to give you something better, boo. Who else is going to understand you better than you in the universe or God or source, whoever you believe in? Because we always be hung up, oh, these people is not coming with me. These people is not meant to come with you. And you knew that all along. You just want to hold on to it. And I also want to talk about another episode about desperation. That's a whole different thing. And I'm calling myself out on it. But we're going to talk about that. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that episode. But I just feel like that we just put so much emphasis that these people need to stay in our life for what? Not everybody is meant to be in our life for a long term. Sometimes people are meant to be in our life for a season. And some people is not growing. Don't mean you have to stop growing. Don't mean their fear conquer you. That's not your fear. Once you understand what your fear is around, you will see that things will change for you. Like, you don't need to have this fear to conquer you when you have the power to conquer it. A lot of times it's a fear of what our life was from the past was like. And we don't need to feel that way anymore. We can retrain our mind to think differently if we allow it to be. And you have that power to do so. And nobody can tell you you don't have that power to do so. So, yeah. 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 So, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to how to conquer this. But I also want to give you a little questions to ask yourself when you are going through this phase of when the fear do come up and you're afraid to move forward towards your dreams or your true self or anything. Because fear is normal. Fear is an everyday thing for some people. And fear sometimes can be the best thing for you to move forward and fight against it. But yeah, some of the questions I do want you to ask yourself when fear come up. Do you believe you can achieve the life you want to live? And why? Why do you believe that you can achieve the life you want to live? Don't you have that power to do that? Don't you have that power to do so? And like I said, we always think we are trained to live a certain way, but really, we don't have to live by what the quote-unquote society norm is. We get to choose how we want to live. The next question I do want to ask you is, do you believe, like, fear really shows up when you start living for yourself and not listen to society anymore? That's pretty much what I was saying. And you can't achieve the life that you want to live. Let me just say that. And yeah, we just have a lot of fear about not living the way life wants us to live. So we're going to get into the steps because I kind of really briefed over them when we was talking about what's the meaning of fear and how it can attribute in our life. So here comes some tips I could give you. 1, acknowledge your fear and ask the question. Ask your fear questions. Like, what is causing my fear? Where is it coming from? When did it start happening? Is it something that happening from my childhood? Is it from my past? Or is it something in my present day? And when we acknowledge that fear and move past of why this fear is coming up, we don't have to worry about it. I'm not gonna say we don't have to worry about it coming up, but we know what is causing it, and we know how to cope with ourselves when we go through situations like that. Number 2, weigh out the pros and cons of this fear. Is the pros better than the cons, or is the cons better than the pros? That really just helped me to understand, why is this fear coming up? Why am I holding on to the negative? Is negative like how I think every day? Or is the pros is so much better than what the fear is trying to tell me what it ain't? And it's the fear telling you you're not good enough. That's one thing. Sometimes fear can tell you that you're not good enough, but really, babes, you are more than enough. Better than what other people might think you are. And that's when fear come up, when we are trained and having all these negative thoughts that comes up from other people and mostly not from us. And we ingrain it in ourselves that we cannot do it. But really the pros is so much better than what we thought would happen. So just get a piece of paper out and write down the pros and cons to see what comes up. And not let that deter you from what your goals is. Yeah, so weigh out the pros and cons. And I also want to say, when fear do come up, don't work against it. Work with it, or work through it, or fight against it. Because we always get this idea that fear is this powerful thing. It's really not. It's a figure of our imagination. And I know it might ruffle some people feel this when I say that, but fear is an illusion. It's not what we always wanted for ourselves. because we have been taught that fear is a normal thing. And it is, in a way. It's now to a point it is. But really, fear is an illusion, a figment of our imagination. That we can't do it. But really, we can do it. So don't let other people tell you that you can't do it. Show up for yourself in a way that you know you are capable to do. But yeah, I'm rambling. Your girl rambles over here, okay? But number 3, take small action steps. When fear come up and we want to take a big leap, we automatically think we need to do big things to make this big leap a grand, fantastic thing for us. I mean, I'm not saying don't take big leaps. Do that, but take small steps to get through this big leap. Instead of trying to pressure yourself to be something more. Like, you can, if that motivates you, but take them small steps so it can be a gradually big step. Like when you go working out, you gotta go consistently so it can grow and you can see that fat, juicy butt or flat stomach that you wanted. Same thing if you want to journal every day and you get better to understanding your thoughts and your emotions. Pretty much you gotta take the small steps, simple steps. We don't need to make it harder than it needs to be. You have that power to make it different in your life. Like, I say that every sentence, but I need you to understand this. I need you to understand this, Sue. Understand is that you do have that power to do so. And not let other people tell you that you can't. Like, because people are projecting on you of what you think they think that you can't do in your life. So start taking them small action steps. And don't let people know your next move. And let it be a surprise when people do know that something is happening in the works. Be a surprise. Like this, I didn't even tell nobody I was going to do this. I just decided, I'm going to do it. And they just found out on the internet. They're like, oh, yeah. Because I took small steps for myself to actually show up for myself. You really have to hold yourself accountable and actually do what you say you're going to do. And work through this fear. And understand that this fear is not you. Fear is just a part of what we believe about ourselves. So just really ask yourself, why is this fear here? Why is this holding so much power of me? Why am I giving it so much power? Do I believe this fear to be true? If so, why? Just question yourself like you're an interview person, because fear is not that much power over us. It's really not. You just have to have that strength in yourself to understand that you can make this life happen for yourself, whether other people believe it or not. So, yeah. Let me go over the steps again. 1, acknowledge your fear. See where it's coming from. 2, weigh out the pros and cons. And 3, take small action steps to work through this fear. And take action steps towards your goal. Small action steps. And that's pretty much I have for you today, guys. I know it wasn't as long as usual, but that's what I have right now. But when I do get more information of what I want for my next episode, just know you're going to be seeing some longer content from me. But, yeah, if you like this little episode, I'm sorry. I'm excited. I hope you like this episode. If you do, you can like, comment, share, review, rate, and subscribe. Because welcome to the family. And if you really like this episode, you can share it on social media and tag me in it. I will have all my information in the description. And feel free to let me know what you like and what you don't like. And if you have any questions, we can get into it. So, yeah. And thank you again for tuning in to the Essence of True Self podcast. Until next time.